What is up, Auburn Family and E2C Network family? Thank you for joining us here on E2C Network. It is Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and you know what that means. It's time for another live recording for an episode of the Auburn Experience. This will be episode 7 that we'll be getting going here, recording in just a little bit, but it has been the case since we started doing this. We want to spend a little bit of time talking with you all first, and we'll do a little bit afterwards as well. Just saying hello, catching up with you before you actually watch the live recording. I be Kyle, that be Austin. Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, War Eagle, everyone. Number 7 already. Seven's a holy number. Don't know what that means about our podcast, but
Well, it's not very holy considering what we did to the volleyball team, which we'll be talking about in this
oh
episode. But
yeah,
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 so
that one's on us. But I hope more people got to enjoy 2 wins this weekend opposed to the one loss on Wednesday night. And
yes.
yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a little bit of an avenging going on. They could, the volleyball
right.
team couldn't avenge the LSU loss, but they avenged the Georgia loss twice over. So
Twice. That's
I
right.
guess I guess we forgive them. I mean, not that we need to be forgiving, we need to be forgiven by
Yeah.
them, considering how we were, the ones responsible for that. Which I'm sure some of you or all of you have seen that clip that we posted out there. We actually talked about it twice in that episode, Austin. And I was like, which one do I use? This one's the better one. Sounds
Yeah,
more
it
relevant.
I mean, it was bound to happen, and I really hoped they wouldn't lose, obviously, but I just knew as soon as I saw the final score, I was like, "Oh, man, we did that."
It was our response. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in the episode as well. As you come into the stream, normal type of drill for everybody. Make sure you smash the like button. Say hello. This is your check-in period. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international, all of that stuff with a War Eagle. If any of you Rogue Dog fans are still out there and want to come in and bark via chat, we had someone do that not too long ago on the post-game show reaction show. I'll never understand for the life of me a grown man or woman wanting to bark, being trained to bark and like it. Like,
It's it's bizarre. It's their thing, and I guess, more power to them if that's what you got, but
right. Good to
it
see you,
doesn't
Devin.
make it any less weird.
It is odd. I remember after the Georgia game last year at Jordan Hare, and I'm walking out, obviously, it was a butt whooping. And the these two guys were being loud mouths and stuff. And finally, they just started barking at everybody they were passing. I said, well, you don't see that every day. Two grown men barking. And of course, they said, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah, okay. You keep thinking that.
Yeah.
You keep thinking that, sir. Don't think that we think it's cool, but you can, I guess, if that's what helps you sleep at night. Devin says that all is forgiven for the Georgia thing because of volleyball. And that's the way it works. And that's the way that's why it's so good to be part of the Auburn family, because when we mess up or another team messes up, the rest of us pick each other up. So, hey, listen, it's been a rough go of it for football. So we got to find happiness in other things as well.
That's right. Equestrian got a Georgia win too,
They
so, I mean,
did. They
that's
did.
3.
But I got to be honest with you. I'm so used to, them kicking butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally with horse kicks, in a question. It's kind of like, I'm used to it at this point. Not that I want to take it for
Sure.
granted, but I just
Georgia's usually a formidable opponent for them in equestrian, though, so it
that
it
is
was good
true.
to get the season started like that.
That is true. And equestrian the last 2 seasons has kind of dropped the ball. I shouldn't say that like they didn't try, but you know what I mean. Like they were shockingly taken out in the first round of the
Right.
NCEA tournament at the end of the year. So it was really weird. Let's see. Unbeaten Lake. We need 3 more wins to get to a bowl game. The best chance to beat a team the rest of the season will be Western
Let's
Kentucky.
go Kentucky.
Who are the other 2 teams that we have the best chance to beat, Austin?
Yeah, I was gonna say the 2 that Devin just said right there, right after Texas A&M and Arkansas, I think are probably your best shots at home. Mississippi State is on the road, and they look like they're figured some things out offensively pretty well. But A&M has kind of been up and down. Really
Yeah.
needed them to pull through for us this past weekend. And then Arkansas has just kind of taken a dive. Um,
Not
So I
shocked.
still wouldn't be surprised if Auburn is not favored in those games, but I think those are going to be probably your best bets. It's November in Jordan-Hare, so who knows?
I am not buying stock in Mississippi State right now. I am not. This is what Mike Leach does. He gets it rolling with that air raid offense, makes it real difficult to, and then somebody figures it out. Now, granted, we did not figure it out last year in Jordan-Hare, so
At all.
I could understand people saying, "Well, how are we going to figure it out?" At their place in Stark, excuse me, Stark Vegas. But I know that he's bound to have another back down. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it's right now we don't need to be focusing on making a bowl game. We just need to be focusing on how we get through the next game. And I don't mean like in a defeatist standpoint of like, oh, it's so terrible. It's not great. But I'm just saying, listen, we got a lot of things we got to work on and figure out how to become a more competitive team every single week, as opposed to just when we're at home. Minus Penn State, that really wasn't a competitive game. I've tried to block Penn State out of my mind.
It's best to just kind of skip over that week. I did want to bring up though that in 2 weeks, Kyle, I hope you can make an appearance at my place of employment when Fort Dale Academy comes to Lee Scott, and we can have a little fun little rivalry night. That's for just you and me. No one else cares about that.
But you remember, I'm not Fort Dale though. I'm Macon East.
Oh, well then that's next week.
That's next week. Oh man. Well, listen. Well, I will miss that. But I have seen what Lee Scott Academy in Auburn has been doing, and you will run the table with with Macon East, probably with Fort Dale.
I'm sorry. I mixed that up. I know some people from Fort Dale too. Yeah.
How dare you? Fort Dale was a pretty good school when I was there. It actually was pretty competitive all the way around. Bessemer was actually the team that nobody could beat for a long time.
That's who they just played, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw what y'all did to them. So it's interesting, the dynamic with which everything goes on. Now everybody's like, why are y'all talking about Alabama independent high school stuff?
No, I mean,
we can correlate it back to Auburn. We can correlate
it. Absolutely.
All right, we'll take maybe 1 or 2 more questions here. We'll get started. The SEC West is just crazy this season. We all know that Bama is going to win it. Devin, not so fast. Last night proved, and granted, Bryce Young was hurt, but my whole thing is, if you fall apart, which they didn't necessarily fall apart, but they did not look good when your second string comes in. Were you really that good of a team? People could make that case probably about Cam Newton. Thankfully, we never had to know that answer to that question. But, how good are you when your best player goes down? That is the real definition of whether a team is really good or not.
I guess the second place in the West, though, Ole Miss, maybe?
Probably right now.
would be the – because Bama's going to have a fight with Tennessee this weekend. I think it's going to be a fun game.
I'm excited. We got our in-laws coming, and I'm excited to watch that here.
It's a conference game, and then they're going to have to play Ole Miss, I guess, in Oxford this year.
Yeah.
So who knows? It definitely doesn't seem as clear-cut as it has been.
Yep. Good to see you, Corey. Thanks for being here. We're about to get started with the episode. And WT, good. Everybody's popping in right at the right time. It's like they know now. It's like, all right, give them like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to get started, all that stuff.
Let them get rid of their AISA talk.
Yeah, I know I didn't finish that comment, but I kind of said what you were saying. I think that they were down, not shocked if Bama drops. Well, yeah. All right. We are ready. So we're going to bring up the thing. Again, it seems the trend has been the last couple of streams of these that we've gotten bots in there. I apologize. I will try to check over there if things look like they're just jumping up in comments. But that's just the way some of these people are these days in terms of the inappropriate things that get posted in there. So we'll just deal with it. Y'all remind people, even though they're not probably paying attention to the thing down there, that we'll probably won't be taking a lot of comments or address a lot of questions from there, but we will be back afterward to discuss it. But for now, we hope that you guys enjoy episode 7 live recording of the Auburn Experience. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn Experience. That includes Lots and lots of sports. It includes an Auburn soccer team who is now on a winning streak in the SEC currently, and a volleyball team that has redeemed a football team who is struggling right now. But that also includes many high moments for the football team, just not so much this season. It also includes things like, the downtown of Auburn changing through the history of it, and it includes things like having experiences in an airport that you never thought you would have, War Eagle moments in and everything. It involves all of us together, our stories intermingled in Auburn and outside of Auburn, Alabama. That is the Auburn experience. As always, it is best enjoyed with others around you, especially those amongst the Auburn family, which is why for every episode, including episode 7 of this show, I have an Auburn man with me, and that is Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back to the show, Austin.
Thanks, Kyle. War Eagle, everybody. Glad to be back. And the whole of the Auburn experience never gets old. While football has its issues and struggles, thankfully it does not encompass the entirety of the Auburn experience. And that's what we get to talk about the majority of here, whether it's the city of Auburn, different Auburn athletics, or anything else, what random interactions that we have. I'm thankful that we get to look to a little bit different things to describe the Auburn experience than just football.
Although, if you would look online and probably some in person too, you would think that's the only thing that matters based on some people's handling of the emotions that come after what should not have been surprising, right? A loss to the number 2 Georgia team. That's what was so fascinating about this to me, Austin, is that after a Georgia loss where the Auburn team is clearly struggling, they are not in most cases, with the vitriol with which the response was to the coach. Now, listen, am I going to sit here and say that there is not criticisms to go around for coaching decisions, for play, all that stuff? No, that is clearly evident. But it's just sometimes I cannot grasp the level of the emotions go to in some of these cases. Is that a fair statement?
No, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is you can see people all leading up to the game saying, "Oh, we're gonna get destroyed. Oh, look at the spread. Oh, take the over. Definitely, definitely." And then it happens and everyone's still upset. And
It's
it's kind
like,
of like you can't really have it both ways. But and I'm not like you said, I'm not saying there's not blame to go around. I'm not saying the way they lost is something that you should still be like, "Oh, well, we expected that, so it's okay," because it was still bad. There were still things that made us all question, "What in the world are we doing?" And it's okay to have those feelings, but to just kinda remember to keep it in check, and I'm speaking to myself there, that's for sure.
right. I think that's obviously the case here. I think sometimes when people get offended when you point out, "Hey, the vocal majority here that's," and I shouldn't even say majority, the vocal group that's causing all of the hubbub online or whatever, we're not saying that we're better than, we're just saying that we've at least gotten to the point where we can rationalize some of these things at this point. So that's kind of what's meant by that. No offense, we understand why it's so disappointing, but again, you should have expected it. You know what's also a disappointment, Austin? Us. We
Oh,
are
man.
a humongous disappointment to a lot of people. You're a disappointment to me. I'm a disappointment to you. We are a disappointment to the Auburn family, but more importantly, we are a humongous disappointment to the Auburn volleyball team. I cannot express the regret and remorse, not for discussing them,
That's right.
enjoying them being part of the Auburn experience, because that's what our show is about, but the fact that we know how this goes, right? We've been around long enough. We're not super old. Look at my hairline for those of you watching live. You can see that I'm somewhat older. We know how this goes. When Auburn's up, there's an opportunity for it to come down. And if you set it up if you believe in mojo and all that stuff, it will come around and get you. And boy, did we just set it up for old mojo to come around and get, at one time, the undefeated Auburn volleyball team. So to Coach Brent Crouch, the ladies, the staff, and to the Auburn family, Austin and I would like to officially, sincerely, on the live recording even, apologize. We accept that L for you. Do not accept that
Yes.
L. We take it on.
Yeah, we jinxed it. We 100% jinxed it, and, that was a risk we took. and I'm okay taking it because I'd like to think that we kind of elevated the audience to Auburn volleyball and the success that was going on even just a little bit. But the good news is they've already bounced back twice. They've avenged that awful loss at Georgia by the football team and won two. They're back on a winning streak and playing well. And it was a hard fought loss at LSU on Wednesday night for the Auburn volleyball team to drop their first game. But we'll take that one. Put that one on our record and not on theirs.
I'm going to tell you, Austin, I was sitting here in this seat actually watching it on the screen I normally do our show on here. And I'm like watching like on pin, obviously because I'm invested, right? Just in general, but especially for you and I's thing. I'm like, no, I don't want this on me. I don't want this on Austin. Maybe Austin, but I don't want this on me. Like, I can't be the one that pointed all this out on a podcast. And then the second we do that, they take the loss. I just felt so bad. But hey, listen, at least it wasn't a drubbing, right? Like this was,
right.
For those of you, again, that don't know how volleyball works, they go to 5 sets maximum because you got to be 3 out of 5? You got to 3 sets wins the match. And so they went to 5, and it was pretty much down to the whole thing. I think LSU won by like 3 points, I think is what it was, 3 or 4.
I think so.
Which is very, very close for those of you that aren't up on your volleyball knowledge. I'm not saying that I am. I learn more every single day. I still don't understand this libero thing. But that's just something that I haven't grasped my mind completely around. But part of me, Austin, wants to say we should never, after this point, speak of the Auburn volleyball team again because we wrecked it for them. But then there's also the part of me that knows we can't do that because that's not how we want to operate. So
that's right.
How do we balance that, Austin, going forward?
I mean, we have to keep talking about the success they're having. That'd be a disservice to what they're doing and to what Coach Crouch has already got them rolling in. But I mean, I don't think we're gonna have to worry about too many losses.
It's fair.
Quite honestly, I think they're gonna have a successful year. That we've talked about how they're a young team, and a lot of these girls are gonna be around Auburn for a while. And so I think it's gonna be an exciting program building season for Auburn volleyball to kind of get things the way Coach Crouch has wanted it. Um, and we will take the first loss of kind of a successful season for Auburn volleyball. And they just know that the pressure's on, and we will take on the haters for them here on the Auburn Experience podcast. So that is our task now that we have cost them an undefeated season.
In fact, Austin, I would say this, not that I know, memes became a big thing during last basketball season and have continued on, even when we lose in football. Otherwise, we meme ourselves. I would beg and plead that you meme us just to continue to push all of that bad mojo that we gave to the volleyball team for that LSU loss, even though, again, they've bounced back. So please meme the heck out of us. You can hit me up at Kyle Loomis 24, and Austin will share his in a little bit. But yeah, I want to get meme for this because I deserve it. I know better than that, and I know how the Auburn experience goes sometimes, and I sincerely apologize for this. Can we apply this philosophy though to football? Because there's like right now, football needs something, right, to get things going the right way. Do we need to discuss them more and act like they're going to win? And just is that how we need to operate for the football team going forward? Try to reverse mojo them?
Yeah, who knows? I think everybody's trying everything they can, including the players themselves. Reverse mojo. The Auburn football team is just struggling again. Everybody saw the game yesterday. We've talked about the game already a little bit. Yeah, just rough. And I'm not sure what it is, but I would just encourage people to, like we said, kind of look at the Auburn experience as a whole. If you love Auburn and believe in Auburn, you can take pride in things like the Auburn volleyball team and 2 random podcast guys costing them their first loss of the season, and everything's okay.
Listen, I cannot continue to express my regret and remorse for what we did to the volleyball team I wish we could have that type of power over football, because I would figure out how to, like we said, reverse it for them. But,
if only.
I'm just happy that the volleyball team has not suffered further because of the mistakes of two fans, and that we still have a great team performing in SEC play right now, and lots of other sports as well. There's other sports going on that people should compare about. But as we go further into the episode, we're probably going to have a less heavy sports show today, just given the nature of how football is doing. But we wanted to make sure we hit some of those at the top of the show, because let's be honest, we need something. We need to feel good about something in Auburn sports right now. Let's talk about our next topic. And this is one that I think we could go several different ways with. And I think most people, when they tune into episode 7, they've kind of heard us talk about certain things in a certain manner. And maybe you're like, okay, yeah, they're going to talk about anything Auburn. But I don't think when they sign up, subscribe, whatever you want to call it, to an Auburn podcast, do you think that we're going to be talking about a grocery store?
Probably not.
We're going to be talking about a grocery store, not just any grocery store. By the way, Publix, hit me up if you want a sponsorship, because I would oblige that in full. But here is your free advertising for your store in downtown Auburn, Alabama. Again, maybe this is just a commentary on the state of Auburn football right now, that the fact that we're moving to this, but it is a very significant happening because of several different things. There is this concept and this idea that a lot of us, especially myself, as nostalgia freaks, have, that we hate change, that we don't want Auburn to ever not be this quaint little Southern town, but we forget that it already has changed too. And so when you do things like put high rises, but then you remove a whole back section of North Gay Street, I believe, that's North Gay Street, and take out Tiger Rags, a bank, a Burger King. Do you remember the Burger King back there, Austin?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you ever frequent back there at all?
With the biggest parking lot ever known to man for a Burger King.
I don't think a Burger King has ever had that amount of square footage, much less the parking lot.
Yeah, no way.
I spent a lot of time back there. I loved good old frozen Cokes from Burger King, and would get my little chicken nuggets after a football game or before a football game. Ironically, there was a time for a season that I had a parking spot for every game back, not at the Burger King, but because you'd get towed, but next to it. And so it was kind of like my ritual. I'd go after the game, get in the Burger King, grab some nuggets, a frozen Coke, wait for traffic to die down, and head on out of there. But that's gone. Tiger Rags is gone. They've moved, I believe, over to is it Glenn and Austin Butte? Where they
Glenn
are now,
and
exactly?
you're thinking of Glenn and University, or maybe Sugar Jordan. I don't know which one it is right there, but they've actually moved from there either, and they are online only now. Tiger Rags
what is
Tiger
happening?
Rags is online only. Yep.
Everything's changing, Austin, and I hate it. Why?
It is. And that's kind of where we were getting at with this tonight, is that downtown Auburn, which if anyone's been to Auburn this season, has definitely noticed a lot of the new high rises and apartments and changes, and some of those for better or for worse. We could argue that all day. But one of the newest ones that opened this week is at Publix, like you're talking about, and right there on Gay Street. I've already talked to a couple freshmen who can walk now to get groceries.
I
Not
know,
everyone has the car, so I mean that's fantastic.
That blows my mind, Austin. I lived a little bit further up North Gay Street, so I was actually in a position where it was somewhat in between downtown Auburn and that Kroger, and so I would go to the Kroger a lot, obviously, or if I wanted to go all the way to the Walmart, either way, Opelika or Auburn, I would go to that. But I did at one point live in downtown Auburn, and the fact that I could have walked outside and been less than 2 minutes, if that, and get the groceries I need would have been outstanding. Now, listen, there's a lot of great stores downtown to get things that you need, great places to eat and stuff like that, and we obviously promote those. But the fact that you can get your groceries now behind J&M Bookstore, that blows my mind. I cannot fathom the fact that a Publix is back there. I don't know that I'll ever get used to it. But then I guess people also say I never thought I'd see a Burger King behind J&M, but Here we are.
It's definitely gonna take some getting used to, but I think it's one of those things where I saw, like, Auburn and downtown Auburn hasn't had a grocery store since I don't even know what the name of the grocery store was, but it closed in, like, the '80s, early
Right.
'80s or late, and so it's a great addition, to downtown Auburn for kids, for I think about international students who might come over here with no cars and live on campus their entire time, and it's more accessible to them. And then, just I can't imagine how well they're gonna do when you need last minute tailgating things, and downtown Publix is right there without having to get out and go to Walmart or get out and go to Kroger and be in the Auburn football traffic masses. So it's crazy. I haven't really fathomed it here as an Auburn resident. This is my now time. I'm gonna plug that I'm an Auburn resident once again. And I haven't
We're gonna
really
get you a
fathomed that
T-shirt.
quite yet.
T-shirt. I'm an Auburn
That's
resident. Did
right.
you know that?
I'm gonna have a whiteboard behind me back here, so our stream viewers can see it every time I say I'm an Auburn resident. I'll just get a tally mark. But I'm very proud of it. But anyway, I don't know if I'll ever get used to it either. But it's great. I think it's a good addition for Auburn, and that's not something I've really said about all the additions to downtown Auburn. So
Yeah.
I'm happy about this one.
No, listen, I hope that comes across the way we're talking about this. We're playing up the whole, oh, grumpy old here we go, be crotchety old men again.
Here
Change,
we
change,
go.
change. We hate it. Rah, rah, rah. But it was weird this week on Twitter. I don't know who to credit to, so I'm sorry if you are listening to this and you figure out this. Hey, that's what I posted. I'm sure several people posted it, but if you can figure it out, hit us up. We'll give you a shout out on social media. But someone said the fact that I can stand in the parking lot of a Publix and see Sanford Hall is really odd. Like, and I
Yeah.
like it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, if you have to be in a Publix parking lot, why wouldn't you want to see Sanford Hall?
There's worse views, right?
There really is. And so that's the thing is, if you're going to do, as my friend Jameis Winston once said, if we're going to do it big, let's do it big then. So that's not really Auburn related, but I mean, I guess that's the philosophy that the developers, maybe I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to, because I know one of the developers, Steve Fleming. Well, I don't know him, but I know of him. We've met a couple of times, and give him a shout out. Say, if you're going to do it big then. Put a Publix where you can see Sanford Hall. So yeah, one thing that's going to be interesting about this though, Austin, we talk about change, and the parking is getting to be a hectic thing all the time,
Yeah.
but especially on game day. And imagine the amount of people now that don't have those opportunities for, because I know they did sell some of the parking spots for some of those businesses on game days, and that's been gone for a while. But can you imagine the nightmare that is going to ensue for the public staff on game day, trying to keep open, stay in business? Like, have you heard anything? Are they going to not open the parking lot at all on game day, or how are they going to police that?
Yeah, good question. So, speaking of parking for staff, my wife and I have both driven by now Publix to try and see what it's going on, and Emily actually went in already. But staff actually parking down across from the Gay Street parking deck slash lot behind the Auburn Bank and walking to work. So the spots out front of Publix are not really even for faculty, staff at Publix. I work at a school, right?
Yeah,
Faculty,
yeah.
staff at Publix. It's That's just all for customers. Even still, I don't know how they're going to police it when we get this next home game on the 29th against Arkansas, because they're going to have to keep a police officer out there making sure you're
Oh,
not parking and walking away or something. But that's a big area of parking spots that are going to
yep.
be highly coveted, I think, once game day rolls back around.
So I commit to everybody here on the live recording. I commit to everybody in posterity that, I've been putting out these quote unquote vlogs, not necessarily vlogs, but I call them vlogs of, what we're seeing on game days and game weekends. So I try to give you guys something new other than just the, typical tailgating stuff footage. So this next go around, when we're all back together in Auburn, I'm going to the Publix, and I'm going to, show you what a Publix in Auburn looks like. It probably looks like every other Publix out there, but by gosh, it's got Sanford Hall in the background of the parking lot. And that just makes it instantly awesome already. So quite a change. More changes are coming. We'll have to
Yeah.
just deal with them when they arise.
Well, I think a pro too here. Kyle, are you a fan of the pub subs?
I have not gotten on the pub sub train, but I have heard
Okay,
legendary
fair enough.
stories about them.
I mean, I think getting a pub sub at the Publix in Auburn is a time to get on the train and see what you like about it.
I will probably have to do that now. Listen, this has been the year of Kyle trying to, spread his wings, so to speak, in terms of
There you
not just
go.
sticking in his Mama Goldbergs and his, Zaxby's and his Guthrie's and all those, chain stores that I love to go to. I will do my best to branch out. I know that's not really branching out to go to a pub sub because they're available everywhere,
It's
but hey,
okay. It's
for
okay.
me it is. For me it is. Anyway, we will have plenty of other opportunities to discuss the changes that are coming to downtown, some other things as well as they start opening and changing. There's more to come, folks. So just if you
Absolutely.
are like us and are crotchety old men or women and don't like change, this ain't the time for you to be alive because it's coming, my friends. Let's jump into our final topic tonight. And this one is more of a broad topic, and I'm going to start us off with it as I typically do, I guess the host of the show, even however you want to view me. The concept of having the Auburn experience, or what may be more commonly known, a War Eagle moment, out and about traveling, but more so, this is for me like, yes, the travel part of it and the destination I'm heading to, but even in airports, because it continues to fascinate me, and it's even more so on a college football game day, which I was traveling back from Texas this weekend on a Saturday back here to Georgia. Made it home by halftime, which when we still had an opportunity at least to be competitive in the Georgia game, and not much long after that. Did we I'm just getting a headache right
So
now
it's
thinking
your
about it.
fault. You got back
Yes,
to your
it's
house
my
at
fault. Dang
halftime.
it. It's my fault. I ruined the volleyball team and I ruined the Georgia football. It's fine. It's all my fault. No, it's interesting. Even outside of it being a college football game day, you go to these airports, especially major hubs like Atlanta, Dallas, LA, Seattle, Chicago, New York, what have you. You are going to find not just a eclectic mix of cultures, diversity everywhere, but you're going to get basically every college football fan that you could have. And not to be outdone, the Auburn fans, because it seems like no matter how many times I go to an airport, whether I am rushing through there or I've got extra time, I will always see at least one. But how often it happens that I see and have a War Eagle moment with multiple people just shocks me to this day. Like, I had an Auburn fan on my flight. Now I know, listen, you're like, Kyle, you were going back to Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. It's like 2 hours from Auburn. Of course, there's probably an Auburn fan going back home to Georgia. Okay, I hear you on that. But just the chances, right? Especially on a college football game day where you think most people are glued to their TV, even when you're expecting a blowout against Georgia, it blows my mind. So, Austin, do you have similar experiences? Like, are you having these frequency of War Eagle moments in airports or traveling as much as I do?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Any trip, it's a thing where my wife and I like to count the logos or count the college teams we see represented and keep track of who we see. And Auburn's always there, and it's always fun to be able to have that War Eagle moment, whether it's Savannah, Georgia, or Orlando, Florida, or my favorite one has been in Times Square of New York City, is seeing an Auburn hat and being able to have that War Eagle moment.
Did you see
And
Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, it was just a orange hat, but that was good. I mean, things like that. That's one of the busiest places in the world, and to see an Auburn hat go by just completely reminds you of everything we try and encapsulate here on talking about the Auburn experience. And so, yeah, it's rampant. Of course, I see Auburn logos all the time as I'm an Auburn resident. Click, and but I see what you're saying, and in any airport or highly populated area. Uh, it's reassuring and it's fun to see, and they never get old, not one time.
They really don't. It's just interesting. Here, if we talk about the difference between what we do and what a lot of other fans do, because you're going to see the Georgia fans, the Alabama fans say their stuff at other fans. We're having our own moment with our people. Stay out of it. Stay in your lane, you redneck hillbillies. Just stay out of it. This ain't about you. We ain't even talking to you. Go away. that happens about as much too, because it's like they hear us say War Eagle and can't just like keep it to themselves. It's like it comes out like a disease or something like that. I don't know. The one I will give credit, and this is just, I'm sure there are other fan base that have similar kind of camaraderie and those type of moments together. But oddly enough, Michigan State is very good about this. And I learned this from a former coworker who was a Michigan State fan, which, by the way, we needed them to beat Ohio State to get us into the national championship in 2013. And they did that. And she was like my best friend for the rest of the year because of that. But they do go green, and the other person goes go white, because they're green and white. And it's really cool to just see that not just us, but other people have their own moments and not just spew their other crap at other people. So like dog fans, when you're barking, I mean, I guess when you see them barking at each other, which I saw some that day, which is just sad. I mean, just think about it. You've been trained to, as an adult human being, to bark at someone. Like, how do you get to that low point in your life?
It's just born in them, I guess, to act like an animal. But you know, that's what they got going for them. Good for them.
But what does that do
I prefer
for them?
just English talk. Just communicate the way God intended for us to communicate, with verbal affirmations instead of like animal noises.
Exactly. It's like, what are you saying? War Eagle? I'm like, at least I'm talking. You're barking at someone, you know. And just it's interesting. Anyway, back to the good things about that. So I had a War Eagle moment. Not on the plane with the lady that was there. You know, you get these feeling that sometimes one thing that frustrates me to no end is when you say War Eagle to someone and they don't say War Eagle back. That happens very few times. When it does, it's like the most offensive thing ever. Like, just at least acknowledge me that I said War Eagle. I was like, yeah. But so she did not look like one that was going to return the favor, so I did not reach out to her. But like, I was approached twice in the terminal. We had about a 2 to 3 hour just wait because we had to get there so early, just because of travel logistics. And you know, 2 people came up to me and were like, War Eagle. And this other person too that was not an Auburn fan. It's always funny to me the amount of people that are not Auburn fans that will say War Eagle to us because they know about us doing that. So this Dallas airport at DFW, Dallas Fort Worth airport worker, it's like, hey man, War Eagle, rooting for y'all today. You know, again, I'm like, well, first of all, what kind of fan are you? I mean, are you a Georgia Tech fan? That would be weird. I don't think they exist anymore. I know they do. I've got someone down the street that's a Georgia Tech fan.
Yeah. No, I think that's what I like almost more than giving it is hearing it and kind of, it could be anything. Like we're talking about an airport, you know, you're looking for your gate. There are so many distractions in an airport the size of like one in Dallas or Atlanta. You're trying to get where you're going, and you know, someone passes by, just they're on their business too, but keeps going, and you hear the War Eagle, and that is a feeling where it's like, oh yeah, same to you, War Eagle, and keep on moving. That was one of my favorite. I don't know what you call them. The commercial that happens during football season that
Right.
that promotes the university. Everyone has their own, but that was one of my favorite ones several years ago. Is it was an orange and blue umbrella moving through the crowd of black umbrellas, and they bump into each other. Both umbrellas bump into each other, and it's War Eagle, and that is just perfect because that's exactly what it feels like no matter where you are, and you hear one.
Oh, you want to get the best part about that is 2 things kind of wrap up this topic. First of all, I don't know what the name of her YouTube channel is. I should have prepared for this and known it because she used to do small little videos for us at the Auburn Baptist Campus Ministries. And they did a War Eagle moment of 2 guys having stomach issues and then having a War Eagle moment underneath the stalls. Like they reached their hand down that was not obviously clean. It's like War Eagle, you know, it would go that level too. You know, but the fun part about it to me is also when you're involved in this War Eagle moment that you know is coming. Like, you've seen the person, you know, they've seen you, even if you're across like the terminal from each other, and you're just waiting for the first person to make eye contact. And it's like, oh, are we close enough? Are we close enough? And then finally it happens, and you're always like, yeah, that's what we needed. Even though we're about to get trashed by Georgia, we still had our War Eagle moment, and it made us very, very happy. So we'll talk more about some of those if we ever have really cool War Eagle moments. I didn't talk about my favorite because I'm saving that for a rainy day. I've had several of them. Traveled a lot, so not necessarily internationally, but all over the place. And we'd obviously love to hear some of those cool things from you. So, you know what your
Definitely.
homework is? Those of you that are listening here live on the replay on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast app, your homework is when we promote the episode this week on social media, or you can do it here on YouTube in the comments section. Share with us, like, just briefly, what was your best War Eagle moment? That's what I'd love to hear
Yeah,
from you guys, because
same.
that's
I
what we'd like
think
to
that'd be
talk about.
great.
It would be really cool. One up on me and Austin, and just prove that you guys are the better Auburn fans because you had the better War Eagle moments.
That's right.
Well, that is going to do it for our show today. The Auburn Experience. Again, not a lot of sports heavy discussion with the nature of things and way football is going right now, but there's still plenty of other things to be very happy about being part of the Auburn family and being part of the Auburn Experience. Let's talk about where they can find us. On Twitter, you can find me at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you, Mr. Austin Scott?
Austin G. Scott on any social media platform, except any weird ones like Pinterest or things like that. I don't dabble in that.
And then we just lost the Pinterest sponsorship. I don't thank you for that.
Oh,
Appreciate
we were
that.
so close.
We were so close to the Pinterest sponsorship. And then again, I find a reason to blame you every single episode. And this is the reason now. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in to the Auburn Experience episode 7. And we look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. War Eagle.
War Eagle, everybody.
All right. That is the recording. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. We're going to hang around for just a minute here to catch up with you guys for a minute, and then we'll get out of here.
I didn't see any bots. That's good.
I know. I was actually kind of monitoring it for a little bit, trying to stay focused on our conversation. But yeah, we look like we got, mostly out of the way here without anything happening like that. Wow, Austin putting down Pinterest. I'm so offended. I had a feeling Devin was going to be offended by that.
Yeah, I did too. I thought about her when I said it.
WT, thank you so much for the kind words. We hope you guys enjoy just a little bit of wholesome Auburn entertainment right now, I hope, was what we're trying to give you guys. Let's see. Lee, people do not believe when I said this, but I still think we go after next weekend 3-4 record overall and 1-3 in the SEC. So you're saying, how are you understand what he's getting at here, Lee, what Lee's getting at here, Austin?
People
I still
do not
think we
believe me
go
when I said this, but I still think we will go after. I'm gonna say that we is supposed to be he. He will go after next weekend. 3-4 record overall, 1-3 SEC play.
I see. That's what I was missing. This is what you're here for, is to help me interpret some of these. At least
I'm gonna be honest though. That W and that H are a long way away from each other. So I don't know, unless it's an autocorrect, or I don't know.
I still think he will go after next weekend 3-4 record. Yeah. So if we're talking about Coach Harson, obviously we're all sitting on pins and needles right now, right? Just it feels like one of those things where it could happen at any moment. It also feels one of those things that could drag out to the end of the season. I think we can have the discussion all day whether it's the right thing to do or not. You guys probably know where I stand on that at this moment, that I still do not believe that is what's best for Auburn at this moment, unless there is a plan and there is a candidate lined up, which this is not a shot at Brian Harson, but there was clearly not a very thorough plan in place when we got rid of Gus Malzahn. So right now, it's just a waiting game. Now, the big question is, Austin, what happens by some miracle? Let's just say that Brian Harson he only loses to Alabama. Does that save his job?
Yeah, no, I think that would save his job. That puts you at what? We are currently 3-3. That is 8-4.
Well, it wasn't good enough for Gus, apparently.
Apparently not. Kyle?
No, I know. I'm stirring you up.
Kyle. 8-4, and then I think I think that would be enough, unless he's just like, which, it'd be hard to blame him with given all that's happened last year. Even after that, he's just like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to Arizona State, or I'm going to Colorado because you people are crazy. But I think recruiting would definitely, and if he starts winning and only loses one the rest of the way, I think that's going to help him. But recruiting would have to pick up even still, because that's still a big question mark. But my goodness, if he only loses one the rest of the way, um, that'd be a massive turnaround.
Yeah, yeah, it would be. I think it's interesting to think about perspective, kind of where our mindset is at as as we consider 8-4 now, like a massive turnaround at that point.
Yep.
I mean, it would be better than last year, so it's improvement, right? It's just interesting to think about where this could go, and then where it's likely to go in terms of
Right.
the future, Harson, all that stuff. WT says, "Leave the dustbuster in the closet. Harson deserves to finish the season." Do you know the dustbuster story? Did we talk about
I
this?
did, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't
Not
remember.
on like this, but we've talked about it. I think on a rank or a call this grading
Right.
show before.
I just, by the way, Clint like dies laughing at anything Dustbuster now because he was here live as a guest when it happened, and he loves the heck out of any time someone brings up War Dustbuster. But yeah. Corey says his goal is to make us bust out laughing during the podcast. You can try, sir. We will not
You
break.
Nah, I won't break. I try not to look too much over there. Although I'm going back up to 836 view. I don't think he meant it to be funny, but I did. He said, "I can see in 10 years Auburn having a monorail system." I
Oh,
did
like
see
Disney. I
that when
did
we
see
were.
that.
I was like, "What?"
Yes. Okay, listen, I'll pull the curtain back a little bit for everybody here. I am a humongous Disney fan in terms of like Disney World and stuff like that. That wall you see behind me has an equal wall over here that you guys can't see, and that's for other people that you guys don't know about. So if Auburn ever got a monorail system, oh my goodness, I would just be like, I literally would just be on the monorail, just circling Auburn and watching the sunsets, and I'd be doing the show live. Here we are live from Monorail 24.
The
Doing the show
monorail.
from there.
This is crossing audiences here, and I don't want to do that too much. But the monorail, I have fond memories of the monorail and Disney. So, yeah, I
Man,
can't even fathom one being in Auburn, Alabama. But
my two worlds are merging.
oh,
The people
oh,
mover,
now
yes.
that is a good idea. That
The
is a good
people
idea.
mover around Auburn would be amazing. Then you don't have to like die coming up, because people, we call it the rolling plains for a reason, because it is the plains and they do roll. It rolls downhill from Tumors, but it rolls back uphill from
That's
Tumors.
right.
And you don't think it's that steep. Devin, her and her husband know this from us walking around on our little tour of campus. Yeah, when you're coming back up real quick, you can get tired really, really fast.
Real quick.
Yeah. What do you guys see us finishing with after the games you have seen? Like, we kind of already hit on this, but I guess maybe if you want to kind of hit on it a little bit more fine tuned, Austin.
I think a ceiling. If we want to play the ceiling floor game, I think
Sure.
ceiling would be 6-6. And I think that might take what the games we talked about, I think, before the show: Mississippi State, Arkansas
Okay.
A&M, and Western Kentucky. Three of the mix of those four. Um, I think the floor is. I mean, I think the floor would have to be just only Western Kentucky winning out. I don't really see. Um,
Right.
4-6 is where I'm at. I think likely is probably 5, somewhere in there.
Here's as down as I've probably been on the various shows we do about the way the season's been going. I would say honestly, I still really believe our floor is no worse than 5-7. I really at Western Kentucky, I see us getting, at least one more win after that. That is the floor to me. The ceiling, it's really hard to really get a grasp on, because some of the things that I thought would be happening are happening. Texas A&M and Arkansas are faltering. I knew the hype was big on them. They were going to falter down the road. Now, will it come back up? Sure. So if that trend continues with us having home field advantage, there's, in my mind, some great opportunities for wins right there, along with Western Kentucky. There, like you said, 6-6. I just, in my core, believe Auburn, even with all this turmoil, even if there's a coaching change, we have the talent to be able to shock somebody else. I'm not saying Alabama, even though Alabama looks susceptible, right? We've seen their turnover machines apparently right now. I'm not saying that that's the case. I just think that I think the ceiling could be as high as 8-4. I don't think it's likely. So 7-5 is probably where, if you want me to just make a prediction, is the best case scenario and the most likely best case scenario, 7-5. But I think 6-6 is what we need to all aim for bowl eligibility right now. That is the goal.
Yeah.
Unbeaten Lake says that the ceiling is 12-3. Well, you just keep trucking along, you little sunshine pumper, and you wear that badge of honor. As we talked about last night on the stream, I said this, Austin, last night. Someone called me a sunshine pumper, and I said, thank you. I love being a sunshine pumper because it means I'm a positive person.
To that comment, I would say that'd be like us going from the outhouse to the penthouse, just like this, Kyle. But
who's that remind you of?
I don't know, Kyle. I don't know.
Hey guys, we're going there.
Nope. I gave you the tease. Don't help.
I can see 6-6. 5 is one less than last year, so that would be a downgrade. So that's not the trajectory you want to see. The one caveat I would say for everybody that's saying there's been no improvements, you are correct in terms of like overall big things. The question is, has there been enough time for those improvements to take place? In my mind, that's a no, but I can see a scenario where it gets so bad that you just have to make a change. So I guess the point I'm trying to get across when I talk about all of these things is like, I'm not unopposed to the idea of us moving on from Coach Harson, but I'm also not unopposed to the idea of us seeing this through, because I love a good underdog story. And if anybody's an underdog right now, it's Coach Harson. That's just the way I choose to look at it. All right, just maybe a couple more questions here. We're going to get Austin out of here. He's got to go to sleep. If we finish 5-7, but one of the wins is against Alabama, do we keep Harson?
I don't think so. No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that would not. I don't think that'll look great.
Well,
but
we all listen. Let's just say let's say what we all thinking. Alabama is the most important game, and it weighs the heaviest on everything. But yeah, no.
To beat them over there, that would be pretty unbelievable. But like, you still didn't make a bowl game,
Yeah, here's what happens. He goes 5-7, but beats Alabama. You know what he says at the ending press conference? Peace, I'm out.
Yeah, pay me $15 million, I'm gone.
Sunshine pumping all day. Don't mind it. Yeah, I'm starting to kind of just mess with the people that use that label now, just because it's funny. Is sunshine pumping the same as an electric car hookup? Maybe in some ways, yes.
That's smarter. That's over my head. That's too smart.
That's too smart. Me. Oh, wow. That's a bad joke. All right. Real quick reminders. Tomorrow night, plan is still, yes, as awful as it was, to grade the Georgia game with Ben King. So be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. You know, Ben makes it a good time, though. So don't be late. Invite a friend. Come sit in the misery one more time with us tomorrow night. We will have a live show, obviously, on Wednesday for our call-ins, and then a preview show on Thursday as well. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed, notification bell mark, because you never know. I will. Should I say this, Kyle? Should you say this? Hold on. Let me check something before I say this. I'm trying to get confirmation on information that I have.
Anybody in the comments know how the Mets are doing? Sorry, I'm just going to go and ask while you're looking
keep going.
For that. Looking for to see that the Mets lost tonight. If anybody knows what the update is for there.
So if they can give that information to you. My gut tells me that we will not see a change this week, just based off information I've now gotten. But you never know. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Wide world of being an Auburn fan. This is what happens. Smash the like button on the way out. Check out the links in the description for ways to help support our content. And thanks for being here for another live recording. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family, and we love you very much. Austin, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Devin. Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was fun as always. I look forward to it every week, folks. We'll see you next week.
See you next time. War Eagle.